Anyway, so ngayon we're going to actually review, okay, certain things for flexible work arrangements kasi ito, recurring na naman yung mga questions on, of course, what to do, okay, if your employee doesn't want to go back to work, paano isi-serve ang mga memos and etc. etc. So this is actually in the territory of employee relations. So that it's that aspect, okay, of HR that you really need to deal with the employee. Okay, it's your dealings with your employee. And of course, sakop na dyan yung discipline issues and communication issues. But anyway, Ken, our guest is one of our own moderators, and he's also an expert in HR, legal and compliance. Okay. And he's also a fellow CPHR graduate. So we have none other than Mr. Marco Ballesteros. Hi,
Yay!
Marco.
See you again, Chris and Ken, and nice to see you all.
So how are you? Yeah, I think you had a busy week.
Yeah. With all the issuance of disciplinary actions and meetings left and right regarding issues on how to address COVID-19 and, the business contingency plan of the company. So pretty much all HRs are busy on these particular topics, Chris.
Okay, so by this time, okay, so we have some mga, balikan natin yung mga basics, okay? What HR should have done,
Sure.
okay, when they announced
Mhm.
flexible work arrangements. Marco, can you
Mhm.
explain to our viewers what a flexible work arrangement is?
Okay. So flexible work arrangement entails the consent of the employees if they wanted to be in such arrangement. Second, there should be an advisory, a policy to that effect that the employee or the company will in effect have this flexible work arrangement. Third is that there should be a reportorial requirement to the Department of Labor and Employment on who will be those employees affected by flexible work arrangement. By process, the document should be or the letter should be sent out to the employees at least 30 days prior to the effectivity of the flexible work arrangement, and then 30 days prior to the effectivity as well. This particular document should be submitted to the Department of Labor and Employment, Chris.
So there are certain documents that the HR needs to submit to DOLE to effect flexible work arrangements. And flexible arrangements,
Mhm.
okay, there are several kinds. Okay, so home-based, so that's yung work from home
Yes.
arrangement, reduce
Mhm.
work days or work hours, and then yung
Yes.
broken shift.
Mhm.
And then ito na nga yung tinatawag nila yung
Mhm.
forced leave. So yun yung mga flexible work
Mhm.
arrangement which the Department of Labor, okay, institutionalized at the start of the pandemic last year. Kasi ito nga is to help the company
Mhm.
preserve its business. So ito yung umbrella environment under which inaano natin, sinusulong yung flexible work arrangement. So hindi po yan dahil gusto ng company na parusahan tayo or kahit anuman. It's actually to preserve the business. So para maka-save yung company. However, hindi siya basta-basta, sabi ni Marco, hindi siya basta-basta um, sinusulong or ginagawa na walang dokumento na isinasubmit sa Department of Labor and Employment. Itong document na to, ito yung establishment report. Isa siyang form, okay? I think ngayon electronic filing na ang ginagawa. Dati kasi
Yes.
manual and then finifill upan siya. So meron doon kung ano yung reason for the flexible work arrangement. Okay, and then naandoon din kung may retrenchment or redundancy na ginagawa. So naandun lahat sa form na yon. At then gagawa kayo ng listahan kahit naka-attach lang siya dun sa form na yon kung sino yung mga sakop na mga empleyado. So, yun. So, yun yung sinasabi natin ng mga conditions. And of course, kailangan nag-communicate tayo sa mga empleyado natin at in-explain. Kasi kadalasan, hindi naman, nagugulat na lang yung mga tao. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng confusion. So, Marco, sa tingin mo, kasi for 1 year, madami na kasi talagang madami nang napapag-usapan tungkol dito. Yung sa madami mga webinar and then madami na nga rin kahit legal experts, okay, sinasabi to. Sa tingin mo, bakit may confusion pa rin?
I guess doon sa communication part, Chris, regarding doon sa communication wherein HR wasn't able to fully explain to the employees the nature and consequences why the company is imposing such flexible work arrangement. Doon yung doon yung confusion doon sa mga employees. So it would be best if you try to revisit and have a cadence with your direct reports, no, or to operations, and explain to them again the nature why they are in a flexible work arrangement.
I see.
Yun yung masasuggest ko dyan, Chris.
Oo, kasi yung sinasabi natin is hindi na-explain ng HR yung mga pangyayari, bakit nag-decide ang company na magkaroon ng ganong arrangement sa mga tao. So, ulitin ko, when we implemented the type of flexible work arrangement, ours was actually reduced work hours, okay, from 8 hours, naging 7.5. So, ganun ang ginawa namin. I mean, actually 9 hours kasi may lunch break na 1 hour. Pero from that time, from 9 hours, ginawa namin 7.5 hours. So, merong 30 minutes na kinakaltas sa tao every day. Okay? So, meron kaming policy doon how that's computed. So, in-explain namin kung ano yung effect sa payroll nila, etc. Okay? Yung mga lahat ng mga questions nila. However, in the event na magsara yung company, so yung basihan nung separation pay is yung basic salary, hindi yung kinaltas. Yung original, yung nasa kontrata, yun yung basihan ng separation pay. So, yun. So, tinatanong dito ng ating viewer, okay, mandatory ba ang work from home, Marco?
No, it's not mandatory, Chris. Kasi there should be a consent based from the guidelines coming from the Department of Labor and Employment. There should be a consent. It is a consensual agreement between three parties. It's a tripartite agreement. We have to take note that an employment contract is a tripartite agreement. Now, who are the parties in an employment contract? Firstly is the employee, secondarily is the employer, and thirdly is the state. Why is it tripartite agreement? Kasi the state comes in to balance, no? To balance the inequalities between the state, the employee and the employer. Kaya siya naging consensual. Kasi there are some justifications na sasabihin ng company why the company is imposing such decisions. And if you are not in agreement with that, then talk to your human resources and explain to them why you are not in agreement with the work from home arrangement. In case that, or any flexible work arrangement at that. Or if you want, you could also go to the office, provided that there is an approval, report to office every day, provided that there is approval coming from the management. Kasi you should also take, in this particular time, we should also take into consideration health and safety ng ating mga employees. Not only employees, but also management as well, Chris.
So to answer yung question, so work from home is not mandatory because you can, the company, you can, as a, the organization can actually put in place certain measures. First is it can reduce all the people can still go to work, but it can reduce the working hours. Meron dyan 5 days in a week yung original because of the situation. Kasi hindi sila makapag-work from home because of the nature of their business. Ginagawa nila 3 days in a week na lang ang reporting time. So, hindi siya mandatory talaga ang work from home. What's mandatory, I think, is to put in place health and safety measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Diba? So, ayun yung
One
sinasabi.
of the safety measure din, yes, one of the safety measure din, Chris, is rotation on a rotational basis. For example, 10 employees in a particular department, 5 muna this week, then another 5 by next week. Yung 5 will be working from home and the other 5 will be working on site.
So for big companies, okay, they can do rotational. Actually, even if you are in a small company, you can also rotate your employees kasi you can control naman the work schedule and the workload. So, yun. So, yun yung mga measures natin. So, these things, yung sinasabi kasi, the process kasi, the right process kasi of going through a flexible work arrangement. Kasi pag nakita niyo po yung form doon ng establishment report, merong part na magsasign ang employee's representative. So, magsasign siya. So, ang ginawa kasi namin when we did that, syempre may communication with the teams, okay? Where we represent first muna mga line managers, then yung na-explain sa line managers, pina-explain namin sa yung line manager dun sa mga staff nila. Pagkatapos nagkaroon kami ng town hall meeting, virtual. Okay. Para by that time, medyo na na intro na yung topic sa mga
Cascade
tao.
na.
Oo, na-cascade na. So, na lang sila, magtatanong na lang sila ng kanilang yung mga clarifications nila. Okay? And then, for that, kasi meron kaming committee, meron kaming in-appoint na representative ng mga employees. Kasi sa form, makikita mo, meron doon magsasign. Okay, representative ng mga empleyado. Okay. Pero, kahit na nag-sign na yon, yung memo itself, yung kinascade namin, pinag-sign pa rin din namin yung mga empleyado. Para makikita mo, pag sinubmit mo yon, in-email mo yon sa DOLE, branch, makikita nila na dumaan kayo sa proseso. So, yun. Wala naman kasing, halimbawa, may mga special concerns, okay? Sinasabi ni Marco is consensual, hindi consensual. Kasi hindi tayo lawyer, okay? So, ang ginagawa natin is yung preventive approach, okay? So, may mga narinig tayong may mga ways to do it or to optimize it. But this is the non-lawyer way, yung from an HR practitioner. Kasi mas maganda na intact yung mga documents ninyo and then dumadaan tayo sa ganung mga proseso para hindi tayo nagkakaproblema sa DOLE. So, for me kasi preventive is the cure.
Yeah, true. Tapos yung mga documents na yan, kailangan naka-attach sa isang folder na nandun halimbawa flexible work arrangement. Ganun. Para at least pag may question in terms of audit findings, at least makukuha mo lang yung folder. O ito yung mga signatures, ito yung mga tao na nag-sign diyan sa nagbigay ng consent regarding flexible work arrangement.
Yes. So this is actually parang kumbaga yung documentation na hinahanap natin. Okay? So ito. So Marco, I believe that before we go further in the discussion, wala pa namang mga question, okay? But have you prepared a presentation for us?
Yeah. Share ko lang. Can you see my slides now po?
So,
Yes,
yes.
kita naman, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we will be discussing policies on leaves and work reduction, serving disciplinary sanctions, how to communicate with employees effectively for flexible work arrangements. So now, the main question is, despite that we are on a flexible work arrangement, can employees still file for leave? So the answer to that is yes. Okay, so let us categorize. We have company-initiated leaves and we have government-mandated leaves. What are these company-initiated leaves? For example, birthday leaves, compassionate leaves. For example, that is bereavement leave for some companies, no? And anniversary leave, if you will be celebrating your work anniversary, wedding anniversaries, during your tenure in the company. So even if the employee is working on a flexible work arrangement, they are still eligible to file for these leaves, no? Because that is, these benefits are given to them by the company. Otherwise, if the employee can waive to use these particular leaves or can also use these leaves, no? And then we now go to government-mandated leaves. There are government-mandated leaves, for example, that should be utilized by the employees. What are these leaves? No, so we now go to the maternity leave. There is a provision on the new law on RA 11210. Which provides that even if the employee is on maternity leave, okay, can the company impose a disciplinary action? Or yes, the company can impose disciplinary action, okay, after the maternity leave. No, so if prior to the filing of the maternity leave, the employee is given a suspension, suspension as a penalty. We have to take note that there are two types of penalties, two types of suspension, I should say. We have preventive suspension pending investigation and suspension as a form of penalty. Now, for the suspension as a form of penalty, then this should only be applied once the female employee who availed for maternity leave goes back to work. Okay. Next, we also have paternity leaves that the fathers can utilize, or those male employees who had the wife had a delivered a baby. Now, solo parent leave. There are some companies, Chris, that fails to implement the solo parent leave, as I observed. Why? Because it is very important that the company or the employee who's filing for the solo parent leave should have the solo parent ID issued by the DSWD. Okay. There are some documents that I reviewed previously that the solo parent leave was approved by the line manager and by human resources. However, this particular document, the solo parent ID, has lapsed already. Now, what should we do? We should be denying the leave requests of the employee because it doesn't comply with the requirements cited by the law itself, wherein the employee should have the solo parent ID for him or her
Mhm.
to avail of the solo parent leave. Okay. Next is the special leaves for women. These are gynecological disorders. Okay, that female employees are entitled to avail, even okay in the time that the employees are on a flexible work arrangement. And then lastly, we have leaves for VAUSI or violence against women and their children. Okay, this is very important. Why? Because if the female employee goes to attend, for example, a barangay conciliation or attend a go to the hospital, for example, and have the medical legal findings or examination, then she could utilize the the VAUSI or the violence against women and the children leave. And then also, if the female employee, okay, if there is a violence against the child of the female employee, then she could also avail of these VAUSI leave. All right. So we now proceed to retrenchment and redundancy in the time of this time, okay, pandemic. Okay, this particular work reduction is basically found on Article 298 of PD 442 as amended and renumbered, or the Labor Code. No, so what is the difference between retrenchment and redundancy? Now, based from Article 298, okay, there are two types of um, of um, the nature. Okay, we have business related, and we also have the health related. Now, when I say business related, this includes installation of labor saving
Mhm.
devices and also the this retrenchment and redundancy. Now, the difference between retrenchment and redundancy exists when the service is in excess of what is reasonably demanded by the enterprise. The position is superfluous. Okay, so there is redundancy. But then in retrenchment, you have to prove. Okay, you have to prove that there is a business a financial impact. Okay, financial impacting. Okay, and in terms of the filing of redundancy and retrenchment, um, there are two different frameworks that we have to work on. Okay. For redundancy, if it is a corporation, then there should be a board resolution. Okay. Board resolution issued by the board resolution and secretary certificate um, for restructuring of the
Mhm.
company. If this particular position is no longer needed, then it should reflect on the board resolution. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the first one. First resolution, board resolution, I should say, and then the letter. Okay, the letter addressed to the employee. Okay, it should be given to the employee at least 30 days prior to the effectivity of the redundancy. Okay, and then third is the reports. Okay, so as I review some of the redundancy activities of some companies, no, we should close the loop. Okay, we should not only submit the a letter to the Department of Labor and Employment, the establishment report, the letter addressed to the employee, that we are in effect, or we are redundating the position of the employee, and then the computation, final pay computation is very important to have that, and then other documents that we have to submit to the Department of Labor and Employment. And then after we submit to the Department of Labor and Employment, we should also be submitting the same file to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Why? Because of the um, tax impact, or impact in terms of the finances of the company. Okay, because the package that the employee is receiving is subject to a it's tax exempt. Okay, tax exempt. And then after that, then you have to go back to the employee, and also you have to have the clearance of the employee. Okay, why is it needed that this particular employee should follow the clearance procedure? Is that because there might be liabilities of this employee to the company, which later on be deducted to the final pay of the employee. Okay. In terms of retrenchment, the difference between redundancy and retrenchment is that there should be an audited FS, or financial FS, financial statement, okay, not internally, but by an external auditor, okay? And this particular FS should be submitted with the requirements, establishment report, board resolution, letter addressed to the employee, the computation of the final pay to be submitted to the Department of Labor and Employment, and also to the Bureau of Internal Revenue for us to close the loop. All right. So we now go to serving of disciplinary actions. No, in this particular time, okay, it's very difficult for us to issue face-to-face to the employee the NTE, or notice of formal charge, or the notice to explain, because of the situation that we are in. Okay. So as a practice in this pandemic, okay, there should be a policy or an advisory that if previously the company is imposing a disciplinary act or the document, serving the document face-to-face or through registered mail, you can put or revise in the policy that you have that serving of notice to explain, or notices, not only notice to explain, but also order notice, notice of decision, or notice of resolution should be done through electronically. When I say electronically, it must be sent out to the registered mail, the email of the employee. All right. In terms of redundancy, okay, let me just go back a little. Okay. In terms of redundancy, or redeployment, I should say, redeployment. Because some clients are moving out, but then there are some available positions in another department of that particular company, then there is a redeployment pool. Okay, so the employees that are in the redeployment pool are those employees of, for example, account A, that redundated, account A that had that account A. The reason why there is a redundancy
So account
was
A.
that they are they are, sorry, they are due to business need, they are trying to lessen the number of employees of that particular account. And then but then this particular employees are also have the same skill set that might be needed to account B or account C, then they will be put in the redeployment pool. In the redeployment pool, there is a job matching. Okay, so the representative of account B and account C will interview these particular candidates for possible absorption to their particular account. Okay. In this particular instance, that if the employee is in the redeployment pool, there should be also a notice, 30-day notice, prior to the effectivity of the employee being put on the redeployment pool, and then job matching should be in process within the 30-day period. Otherwise, okay, if there is no available vacancies to account B and account C, then we should be waiting for a potential vacancies in account B and account C to open within 6 months. Otherwise, if there are no vacancies to account B and account C, then we will be deemed the position as redundant. Okay. But in the process that the employee did not attend job matching, what we can do is issue order notices. Okay, order notice to the to be sent out to the last known address of the employee through registered mail, email, or through regular mail or through courier, so that we are in good faith in finding opportunity for this particular employee. All right. So after that, if the employee still fails to attend the job matching based from the order notices that we sent out to the last known address of the employee, then we will be issuing a notice to explain due to a willful disobedience to the lawful order, or to according to Article 297 in PD 442, or and also I should say in relation to the policy of the company or the code of conduct of the company, on what particular code provision that should be in that particular document. Okay. So after that, if again the employee fails to attend the admin hearing, then the employee waives his or her right to due process. So we issue the necessary documents. It may either be termination or also giving again another chance to employee through another order notice. Okay, if the company is generous enough to look for opportunity for that particular employee. Now let's move on. All right. In this particular time, the issuance of notice to explain, let's start first with the preliminary investigation. It's very difficult to conduct preliminary investigation or getting of artifacts at this time because probably CCTV footage, due to its the capacity of that particular recording, sometimes cannot be accommodated in transit using the email, or sometimes we are using a particular system wherein we send the recordings on that particular application. All right. So in preliminary investigation, what we should do is that we should cover all aspects of the case, of the incident report. Okay, and if there is a reasonable ground for us to initiate disciplinary action, then we proceed in issuing in drafting, I should say, the notice to explain. Because if we just issue the notice to explain without conducting a preliminary investigation, then that is just a waste of time for human resources drafting the NTE. Okay, so the issuance of the NTE now may either be, as I said earlier, is through registered mail, a courier, snail mail, or through email. Now, if in the process that the employee refuses to sign the notice to explain or refuses to acknowledge through email, then it is construed. If we send out the email through registered mail, then in one case, it is construed that the particular document is received by the employee. Okay, and if the employee fails to attend the admin hearing, if the company requires admin hearing, because admin hearing is not required, it is only required if it is on the CBA or collective bargaining agreement, in the policy, or in some case for termination offenses or as a practice. Okay, but generally, admin hearing is not required so long as that employee is given the right to explain or provide his written explanation. It may either be in the form of email, a document that is sent out to human resources or to the disciplinary action committee who will be handling the case or who will be deciding on the case. All right, so next to that is the admin hearing. How can we conduct now admin hearing? Okay, because of the limited limitations that we have now during the pandemic. So it is advised that it is through teleconferencing or using a video through Teams or WebEx or the other applications that is available as of the moment. Okay, so during the admin hearing, okay, we should be explaining to the employee why is it that we have an admin hearing. Why why he is required to submit his written explanation or why he is required to be on that particular meeting. Okay. So, huwag naman nating takutin yung empleyado. Kasi the concept, if you have admin hearing, is that, nako, matuterminate na yata ako. Matuterminate na yata ang aking employment sa company because I am in an admin hearing. Admin hearing doesn't necessarily mean that it is punitive in nature. The reason why human resources or management at that is in issuing disciplinary action is for a corrective measure and not punitive in nature. Ang concept kasi ng iba dyan, it's purely kasi punitive in nature yan. Pag na-issuehan ka ng papel galing sa human resources, parang matik na lang sa mga empleyado na, masususpend yata ako or baka matatanggal na yata ako dito sa kumpanya. So that's the concept, no? And then the issuance of the notice to explain, the notice of resolution, okay, should be through WebEx or through Teams or through any other means, Zoom, that we can communicate properly to the employee. The nature, we have to explain fully to the employee why is it that there is a particular, for example, there is a particular penalty on that particular document, suspension, written warning, or termination of his or her employment with the company. We should be explaining why. We should not be issuing a document now. After the admin hearing, then you are liable for so and so. Hence, your employment with this particular company is deemed terminated effective immediately. Hindi dapat ganon. We should explain to the employee the reason or reasons why we are imposing such penalty. Let me just go back, no? Kasi some documents that I reviewed in the past doon sa NTE, no, hindi kompleto ang allegation. Ang nilalagay lang doon is you were caught stealing a food in the company, in the, what do you call this, the pantry. Yun lang ang nandoon, no? Asan ang due process doon? Wala. Kasi it must be clear, okay? The document must be clear so that the employee can provide an answer to the document, to the notice to explain. Kung ang sinabi mo lang doon, you were caught eating, you were caught eating the food of another person in the pantry. So ano yun? No? If there is a code provision, for example, theft, okay? Because there is a
lang, Marco. Pantry, okay? So, nagdakawan ng pagkain. Yun ba yun?
Yes, oo. Nakawan ng pagkain.
Nangyayari yan sa call center lalo na.
5 cases. 5 cases na ganyan. I had one experience, pineapple juice. 17 pesos.
Nako. Ayoko na maglagay sa ref ng pagkain. So anyway, kasi it's actually important, okay? Kasi dito, ang logic kasi dito, siguro madami ng incidents ng nananakawan ng food sa pantry, kaya na kailangan lang mag-intercede, okay?
Yes, there should be a corrective measure, okay? Corrective action to be imposed to correct the behavior of the employees. Kaya kailangan ng magkaroon ng nitong issuance of notice to explain, okay? So what will you put on that particular NTE? First, you should be putting the time and date, no? Kung kailan nangyari yung incident. Okay, that's very important, okay? And then you can also cite the incident report that you receive. For example, the incident report was submitted by the security personnel, okay? A screen grab, for example, for screenshot na talagang kinuha niya yung food as an evidence to be put on the annexure of the document, no? So those are the things na kailangan ilagay doon sa document. And also doon sa notice of decision, okay? It must be totally explained kung bakit the committee came up with such decision. Example, willful disobedience. Okay, you should cite what was first, what was the was there any lawful order coming from the management? Okay, cite a particular provision, cite a an email, for example, as an evidence that there was indeed an instruction coming from the manager. However, the employee refuses to do the particular task that was assigned to him or her by his or her immediate manager. Okay. So, yun. Tapos, doon sa ano naman, sa termination notice, for some companies, effective immediately. Okay. For some, but for me, okay, if you mail out the notice, okay, to the last known address of the employee through registered mail, it should take effect after 5 calendar days. Why 5 calendar days? Because the presumption of the law is that the employee received the document through registered mail if it is through registered mail after 5 calendar days. If it is through regular mail, then it should be after 10 calendar days. Okay, so yun lang yung ano doon sa disciplinary action framework. No. So,
It's important
next is,
kasi
yes,
that's why you're making that distinction kasi ito yung pinaka-safe, okay?
yes.
Pinaka-meticulosong procedure na hindi tayo mate-technical. Okay, yun lang. Kaya ka nagbibigay ng
Oo.
distinction.
Yes. Yun. Kasi otherwise, in one case, sobra yung ano yung nangyari dun sa kaso. So, the Supreme Court, if memory serves me right, reinstated the employee. Pero it's pure reinstatement. Yun. So, let's try to avoid those instances that, that might have a legal impact. No? Kasi it boils down into cost din yan eh. Diba? If we terminate the employment contract of the employee and we did not follow a particular process, then we are, as an HR, then we fail to provide security naman sa ating employer. Kasi we fail to give the right process eh. So we are an advisor to management on what to do in terms of serving notices. Okay, so we should be mindful about the disciplinary action framework. Okay, so how to effectively and efficiently communicate the disciplinary action? Okay, you should be this time you should be sending calendar invite to the employee. Huwag naman yung bulatan na alika, kakausapin ka ng HR kasi may i-issue yata sa yung document, sabi sa'yo. Hindi dapat ganon. There should be a formal invite, okay, sent out to the email address, corporate email address of the employee. Or if the employee doesn't have any corporate email, then send it to the email address of the employee that is registered sa kanyang 201 file. Then explain to the employee that the management is given the prerogative to impose disciplinary action as a corrective action and not a punitive action. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Kasi ang tingin kasi nila pag ikaw ay isang ER sa isang kumpanya or employee relations officer, ang tingin nila sa iyo is sigling reaper, taga-tanggal ng employee sa kumpanya. That should not be the case, okay? So we are just imposing what is the appropriate penalty based from the facts and circumstances that is presented before us. Ganun lang po. So Chris, that ends my discussion. If you have some questions.
Okay, thank you, Marco. So this is actually just reviewing, okay, the procedures
Yes.
and just yung mga details na mga kailangan gawin para ang sinasabi nga natin, don't get uh, we don't get a reinstatement kasi that's the worst thing that happens to an employee that was terminated and then mali yung ating pagkaka-terminate the employee gets reinstated. O di nakita mo pa ulit. Okay, bumalik pa siya. Okay, so Marco,
Siyang parating-parati sa opisina mo, no?
although wala namang personalan, pero kasi nag-ano na kayo it's like reinstated yung employee, tapos may cost pa yan kasi yung mga back wages niya, kailangan pa rin bayaran yan ng employer. So there are some terms that have arose, okay, in the thread, okay, dito sa ating mga sa comment section. So thanks to Miss Eka Aquino, okay, so she's been also elaborating on certain procedures. Pero my question is, what is constructive dismissal and why is it often cited in the forums that, okay, if should I go to Dole kasi mukhang constructive dismissal to. What is constructive dismissal, Marco?
Okay, constructive dismissal in the eyes of the law is that we are, in effect, terminating the employment contract of the employee without cause. It doesn't fall under 297 or 298, just cause or authorized causes. One example of that is that in a call center setup, the employee was off the phone or hindi siya binigyan, or in any instance, the employee was sent home, okay? Was not given the preventive suspension. Sinabi lang sa kanya na, uwi ka muna kasi mainit ang ulo ni boss. That's one case it's a hospital somewhere in Batangas, which was decided this year or last year, okay? In that particular case, pinauwi yung nurse. Kasi sinabi sa kanya na mainit sa'yo ang ulo ni doc. Sabi na ganun sa kanya. Kasi he was not able to attend the meeting, the staff meeting a day prior to that because the employee was on leave. Okay? So, after that, the next day, pumunta ulit din si employee, pumasok siya, tapos sabi sa kanya, uy, naka-preventive suspension ka daw. Okay. Preventive suspension, but then there's no document, okay, that states that the employee is on preventive suspension, okay. There's no NTE that was issued to the employee. There's no notice of formal charge that was issued to the employee. So this goes into saying that the employee was constructively dismissed, okay, by the hospital, and it was upheld by the Supreme Court, and then the employee was on reinstated, okay. Kasi the act of the management is gross.
Okay, so yun. So this is something na when there's when you're illegally terminated, okay, so you can actually seek redress in DOLE, and then yun na nga, there will be some hearings involved, and yun, so you will be reinstated. Magkano ba is there a fine paid by the company?
Yes. There is a fine, okay? So first is the exemplary damages, okay, as an example. Exemplary damages is to be a good example, so that is one of the penalty. If the employee had, usually ang sasabihin ng employee dyan is, I had sleepless nights, wounded feelings, or moral damages. So it includes moral damages and the actual damages. The actual damages is the compensation na hindi nabayaran doon sa employee during the duration of the proceedings. If it will be given as a, it is preyed on the petition filed by the employee. Yun.
Okay, so
tapos idagdag mo pa rin dyan yung attorney's fee, di ba? Kasi andyan yan, it's a fact that there is a form of damage, then attorney's fee should be included also on the prayer doon sa relief being asked by the employee. Okay.
So, and also earlier in your discussion, so when you said that so companies can declare naman redundancy or retrenchment, that's a business decision. However, this should be like, there should be some documentation, diba? Official process.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, and there should be also a criteria there should be also a criteria, because in the case of Nulo versus Concentrix Dax Philippines Inc., it states that the Supreme Court in that particular ruling states that there should be a guidelines, okay, and not just merely an email that was sent out by the account, okay. So this reasonable criteria includes but not limited to performance. First is performance. Tignan mo kung yung performance, and tignan mo kung nasa bottom quartile siya, then the employee is eligible for redundancy, okay, or retrenchment, okay. And then also, you should take a look also at the last in, first out. But in a recent decision coming from the Supreme Court, it says that as any notes ko doon, hindi na siya masyadong in-acknowledge ngayon kasi yung yung last in, first out, take a look at the tenure of the employee on that particular role. I just forgot the citation of that particular case, but that is a 2011 or 12 case coming from the Supreme Court that states that hindi lang yung last in, first out, but then also yung tenure ng empleyado sa ibang company doing that particular job, no? So those are the examples that we can take a look at as a criteria for us to impose redundancy or retrenchment. Otherwise, if we don't have any criteria and just simply say na this particular employee will be put on redundancy or the position is redundant, no? So there is a legal implication to that.
Okay, so Marco, can I request you to stop sharing screen?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, so that we can see your handsome face. Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, so Ken, so ayan, so anyway, what Marco was just saying, so remember that the functions of HR, we had that episode before, and mga yung 8 hours of HR, okay? And then right now kasi, there's a lot of recycling going on. When you say recycling, yung mga employee, when there's like in a BPO, so wala na yung account na yon, okay? So kailangan nilang tanggalin kasi wala na yung client. However, they don't do it automatically, okay? They try to recycle people and see if they can redeploy to other accounts. Yun yung redeployment.
Floating, kumbaga.
Well,
yes.
Floating na nga yun kasi they're trying to figure out kung kailan, saan ka ilalagay pa na account to save your job. So, yun yung sinasabi niya. So, any comments? Ang daming comments. So you can take your pick on the comments.
Dami. Hi, Eka. Yan, syempre si Eka active eh. Yeah, sabi nga ni Eka dito, I agree from what Sir Marco discussed. And then, follow-up statement, as much as possible, in case for termination of, EE?
Employee.
Employee. Okay. Yun. O, di ba? May natutunan akong bago. Yan eh. Dapat reported din yan sa DOLE.
Employer.
Or else, babalik kayo sa Article 282 of Book 6 Labor Code. Yan. Encounter checking with Article 279 and 280 of Book 6 of Labor Code. Yan, sabi yan.
So this has something to do with yung mga illegal dismissal, if I believe so. So yun. Ito ngayon ang tinatanong ng mga tao. Okay, so yung mga issuance, yung Holy, okay, this one, Holy Thursday, Holy Friday. Okay, so nagano daw sila, nagkaroon sila ng reduced work week. Okay, so nag-declare yung company na yung Holy Wednesday, yun na yun. Tapos reduced work week na or forced leave na lahat sila. So, kung mababayaran sila, okay, so dapat first is kung nag-file sila 30 days before, ng establishment report, hindi na sila yon, hindi na sila mababayaran. Kasi kung monthly paid ka, hindi ka na mababayaran. Kaya lang, kung halimbawa nag-declare sila ng Wednesday, tapos hindi pa sila nag-file, next month pa yon magpo-file pa. Kasi pag in-antedate mo, there's something weird with that. Kasi makikita naman ng dole yan na nag-antedate ka or baka ma-report ka, so you're taking the risk. So yun yung mga nuances dun sa mga payment ng holiday pay. So, yun. And then, maganda sa sinabi ni Marco, when closing a company, hindi lang sa DOLE, kundi pati yung sa BIR, kailangan i-tie in mo yung loop, okay? Magfa-file ka rin doon. Kasi, syempre, kailangan ma-declare sa lahat ng agencies na close ka na. Yun. So, anyhow, okay. So, ikaw, Ken, ano ang pinaka-question mo dito sa mga flexible work arrangement?
Ang hirap kasi kung titingnan natin yung iba-iba kasi yung per company eh. Kaya
Yeah.
ano ba yung pinaka-important na um ano yung teka lang meron ako nasa top of mind ko hindi ko siya ma-word out eh.
Ano yung
Kailangan.
common ground?
Pwedeng yun. Similar dun yung question ko pero yun. Ano yung common ground?
Marco, ano yung common ground? Kasi iba-iba daw yung mga company. So, with regards to the treatment of flexible work arrangements, ano yung common ground? Na magiging safe yung pag-declare mo ng FWA.
Reporting sa DOLE. Dapat yun ang I'm sorry. I might take the question wrong. So the question is, ano yung common ground to implement yung flexible work arrangement?
Correct. Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Okay. So the common ground, the reason why we are implementing flexible work arrangement is for savings. Savings in terms of yung electricity ng company. That's why we are implementing flexible work arrangement. Okay. Second is for health and safety reasons in this time of pandemic. Now, the company should do is that report it, asked for the consent of all employees involved for that particular endeavor, and then reported to the Department of Labor and Employment. Doon, I guess, wala nang maka-question sa inyo doon. The case that I can cite is, the question yan is, yung planta kasi, it's a manufacturing plant, okay? Flexible work arrangement sila, tapos gustong ilagay itong employee doon sa Bulacan. Yung plant is nasa Valenzuela and gustong ilagay yung employee doon sa Bulacan. Okay? So that's one form of, if my memory serves me right, that's one form of constructive dismissal kasi it's Bataan yata. It's malayo. So, because the company is, or the employee, or that particular employee is a union leader. So yun ang ginawa nila. So that's one form of IL.
So
parang
illegal.
pinatapon yun.
That's one form of
tinapon.
Yun. In disguising it as a flexible work arrangement. Kasi parang magko-close yung ano dito sa Bulacan, Valenzuela, I should say. Pero ginagawa nilang 3 days lang sila due to business unfavorable business condition of the company. But then, okay, they were building another branch somewhere in Bataan, no? So that is a clear circumvention of the flexible work arrangement, and also it's an IL.
Kasi it's a little bit dubious kasi also the wage level, the wage minimum wage in Bataan is lower in
Mm.
Bataan and then it's higher in Bulacan. So
It's comfortable as well.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So kasi yung sa Dole, ang what they're trying to prevent is people taking advantage of the situation para lang magtanggal ng mga tao or mag-transfer ng tao to areas in the Philippines na mas mababa yung minimum wage. So that's a good measure. Actually, I was trying to just to remind people. I will show you, okay, a copy of the establishment report that's being filed. So kasi ngayon ano na siya, pwede na siya electronic. I
Mm.
believe like later the latter part of
Last year.
2020, I shared how it's going to be filed digitally, but this is the form. Okay, so that's the form, that's establishment report form, and then it's very clear, okay, what kind of reason or what kind of measure you're undertaking, and then who
Mm.
are affected. So ito yung form na to. Okay, and actually hindi pa rin siya nababago, and even up to this year, if you are, because of the ECQ and the lockdowns, you can still revert to that form, but you just have to check on the procedure kasi I the last time I checked was it can be filed electronically already. Yon. And
Yes.
still, if you did not get that, information, you can still do it manually and then email it to your branch. Okay, Marco, you were going to add something.
None, please.
Okay. So, yon. So, this one, kasi actually ni-request ni Ken din to eh, HR law. Kasi madami din nadadamay na siya dito. Madami nagtatanong sa kanya.
Oo, ipapasa ko naman sa inyo kagad eh. Paano to? Wait. We have good friends that could answer that. Teka lang, connect kita.
so so ito yung mga loose ends, okay, na natatanggap natin. And of course, every time there's a holiday, you have to wait for the payment rules and also some announcements from Dole. Ito yung mga department order because sometimes, okay, if I believe, okay, on holiday pay, usually kasi, Ken, kaya ka may tanong kasi hindi sila mababayaran or hindi
Mm-mm.
sila papapasukin. So may effect yan sa salary nila. So you just have to wait for the
That's true.
department order. And then sometimes the company kasi is allowed to defer payment of the holiday pay. So, yun. So, kasi because of the situation, nahihirapan din ng mga
Agree.
businesses ngayon. So, it's a give and take thing between the employer and the employees. And pag magaling ang HR nyo sa communication, most of the confusion, okay, will be minimized. Not totally eradicated, but it will be minimized. Yun. So, any comments from our viewers?
Kay Eka, sabi niya, yes, it may still vary. Teka lang, nakamute ba ako? Ayun, hindi pala ako nakamute. Okay lang. Sabi niya yung Eka, yes, it may still vary upon industry practice po when it comes to implementing FWA status. Tapos, the purpose of FWA that was implemented last year are the following: RA 11058-OSH, LA04, LA09, and LA17 in relation to COVID-19 concerns. Ayun.
So those are the identifying numbers of the department orders, but the gist of it is to prevent closure and
Mhm.
also to prevent the spread of COVID. Good. So we're just reviewing and hopefully, okay, well, when it comes to employee relations, talagang madugong usapan yan, okay? Because it has something to do with details. And as you said, Ken, you're correct. Each company is unique and they
Mm-mm.
actually have their own way of doing the flexible work arrangement. Meron kasi combination. Work from home pero reduced work hours. Meron naman broken shift
Mm-mm.
pa. Iba-iba sila gumawa. So, we cannot really generalize our answers now. But what Marco has been saying is that mas maganda procedurally yung documentation natin maayos. So, I'll go to Marco. So, Marco, what are you busy with? Okay, kasi busy-busy ka, parang pumayat ka nga eh.
Yeah.
Oy,
Wala,
kinikilig.
nag-enjoy lang ako. Nag-enjoy lang ako, Chris, kasi medyo malayo ako sa Manila. So, at least nakakapag-jog ako minsan-minsan pag holidays tapos weekends. Yun. So, I am enjoying the situation right now. Na we are on a flexible work arrangement, Chris.
Mm.
Oh, that's good. So, nakakapag-jog ka. Okay. Si Ken, nakakapag-jog
Yes,
ba?
at least more time sa family, di ba? Oo. Kasi pag nasa
Nakakapag-jogging
Manila,
pants.
hindi naman ako makapag-jog dyan.
Oo, nakakapag-jogging pants. Okay.
Oo, yan. Ayun lang. Nakataging pants ka. Yeah, sa akin, it's been very, very hectic, like, past couple of weeks. There's a lot of people that are, like, getting into the craze of, like, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, di ba? And a lot of friends get to reach out. Ken, paano ba yan? Di ba? Turuan mo ako paano kumita dyan. Pero again, going into this space ng trading tsaka ng cryptocurrency, lalo na Bitcoins and other stuff, other coins, ang lawak eh. You have
Mm.
to understand the technology. You have to understand a lot of things. So, yan, I'm quite busy. Siguro, planning to start na lang a free, like, course for it para lang sa mga friends. Parang hindi na pa ulit-ulit kasi ulit ako na ulit eh. Paano ba yan? Ito yun. Diba? Gawa na lang ng video. Paano ba yan? Oh, ito yung video. Panoorin mo na lang lahat. Diba? Pwede
Because
ganun na
I
lang.
think, kasi yung sometime nung ano, di ba, nung holiday,
Mm.
tumaas, okay? Tumaas yung Bitcoin. So,
Still going
everyone,
up.
okay, it's still
Crazy.
going up.
Oh, 65, halos 63, 62,000, 61,000 earlier as I saw it. Dollars. Isang Bitcoin. So, yung full branding ko ng sales and persuasion, tsaka negotiation, tsaka hypnosis, parang parang biglang non-existent siya bigla eh dahil sa sobrang busy. Pero I'm working with of course HR Shouts and Whispers and Soshov, and this upcoming, I think next week, I'm doing I've been invited to talk about sales and marketing and persuasion sa mga friends natin sa insurance industry. Yeah.
Okay. So, Marco, there's a comment here, pahabol, okay?
Yeah.
May nabasa from EJ
Oy,
Navarro,
EJ.
okay?
Yeah.
May nabasa daw siya regarding the right to disconnect from work, okay, after office hours. Okay, so napasa na ba tong bill na to? Is it a bill?
Pending pa rin yan. Pending pa rin yan. I suppose it's still pending.
Oh yes, that's
It's still
bill.
pending.
Yeah, House Bill 4721. Okay, so kasi ang naging problema kasi ngayon is hindi since nag-work from home ang mga tao. Actually, I've been invited to talk about de-stressing and
Yes.
then dealing with the challenges of work from home, and it's about being able to disconnect because apparently a lot of companies, they have not defined their work hours, or they continue to violate kasi naka-on lahat ng devices. So, at any point in time, palaging nabibiktima dyan, HR, 2 a.m., 12 midnight, nagano pa rin, nagfo-follow up. So, I suggest for that one, hindi pa siya kasi, you're right, hindi pa siya napapasa into a bill. However, I think companies, okay, for the sake of their mental health and then also to prevent people from experiencing burnout, I think that you should redefine and take a look how you're practicing that. Okay, kasi work hours should be still okay, pretty much defined and followed. Yun. And then kung ano yung kasi
That's true.
yes, Marco.
Ang advice ko kasi dyan, Chris, previously, kahit na hindi pa pandemic, sa mga direct reports ko is that pag 8 to 5, after 5, uwi na. Kasi it's the time that you should be enjoying yourself with your family, with friends, diba? So, minsan lang kasi ako, trigger happy minsan. Kaya pag minsan nagising ako ng 3 a.m. Nagre-reply ako sa mga emails. But then ang advice ko sa mga staff ko talaga is no, don't open your emails ng beyond work hours except if kailangan na kailangan. For example, there is an emergency or nasa business continuity ka, pag na-open ang business continuity, then that's the time that your engagement or services is required. So, yun lang naman, Chris, yung comment ko dun.
So, ako ang comment ko is actually you should respect yung definition ng work hours kasi it actually hindi siya makakatulong yung extra 30 minutes na yon na ngaragin mo yung tao. You can actually do it the next day. So, you should respect the work hours. And the most notorious people who violate the work hours, as people have said, it's the owners of the business. Ngayon, you have to reevaluate or reflect kasi madami nagsasabi, burnout. And we don't know when this situation will end. So if you continue to do that, you will actually exhaust all your people, okay? And then you will not be able to get good performance from them. Kasi pagod na pagod pati yung kanilang mind, diba? It's not just the body, it's just also the mind. So, I don't know, we just reevaluate how you're doing things. And I think that even on work from home or whatever arrangement you have, you should be working smarter.
Agree.
Yun. So, anyhow, so siguro it was naging talamak na that some of our legislators already thought na let's file a bill, okay, the right to disconnect. Nako, wag niyo akong disconnectan, ha? Ang nangyari. Okay. So anyhow, okay, so Ken is busy with Bitcoin. Okay, so your webinar, we will we'll if you will have one, so you can actually show it on HR Shows and let's see. Maybe as a lot of people are looking for alternative investment, wag lang kayong mag-spam. Yun lang yun.
Yeah. Wala lang kasi usually pag may mga nagpo-post ng ganyan, biglang may mga links na pinupost na kagad sa comment section.
So don't hijack the thread because a lot of people will benefit, that information will benefit a lot of people, and don't ruin the thread with your senseless spamming. So so guys, okay, so there are a lot of people also watching our webinars on YouTube, and these are HR practitioners and professionals who are from outside of Metro Manila. So we'll say hi to them. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Yes, thank you. And well, this has been a busy Saturday. So for everyone, and I hope that you still be taking care of yourself and be safe. Okay, so bye for now. Okay, and I hope to see you next Wednesday. We will be inviting the ones from the owner of RGU Review Center, si Miss Mayrol, and she will talk about how to get your license in psychology. So if you're a psychology graduate and you want to be a psychologist or a psychometrician. And then next Saturday, okay, so we have Miss Flor Glinoga.
Flor. Yeah.
And she will be talking about measures on how to deal with aggressive people at the workplace.
Exciting yan. Sobrang saya nun.
Okay, so we have our topics planned out. Boxing yan.
Conflict yan. Favorite na din.
Okay, so anyhow, okay, so thank you guys, and thank you to our viewers and those who actually participated in our discussion, especially EJ, Eka, and Mr. Jote. Mr. Jote, happy birthday, belated.
Belated. Oy, Margo, nice talk, Margo.
Okay, thank you guys. We'll call it a night. Bye-bye.